Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I am Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing. Welcome to episode number 73 of Are You Quizzing Me, your favorite quizzing and trivia podcast show. Aditya and I are back for another round of quizzing, and let's start without any further ado. The audience question for today, which I will answer at the end of today's episode for all our people who are listening to this episode, is as follows. Initially, wine was distilled as a preservation method and to make it easier for merchants to transport. It is also thought that wine was distilled to lessen the tax, which was assessed by volume. The intent was to add the water removed by distillation back to it shortly before consumption. It was discovered that after being stored in wooden casks, the resulting product improved over the original distilled spirit. In addition to removing water, the distillation process led to the formation and decomposition of numerous aromatic compounds, fundamentally altering the distillate composition from its source. Non-volatile substances such as pigments, sugars, and salts remained behind in the still, and as a result, the distillate taste was often quite unlike the source wine. This is the origin story of X. X being the shortening of an archaic English word which is derived from the Dutch meaning burnt wine. What am I talking about, or identify X? I will reveal the answer to this question at the end of today's episode. In the meantime, you can try and guess what the answer is and wait till the end to find out if you were right. Let's move on to our regular round of quizzing. Aditya, why don't you start us off for this episode?
Perfect, because Vineet, today I'm debuting a new type of question.
Oh God.
This is a question that is inspired by a podcast, and that will be my podcast recommendation at the end. But the type of question is, I'm going to name important events in history. Tell me which year this happened in. So I'm just going to keep listing them. At any point of time you figure it out, which year am I talking about, stop me and tell me.
This is the worst part of history. Like, I love history, but memorizing dates is not my thing. So you have quite easily picked my weak spot.
I also hate doing that. But what is interesting is when you start thinking of various things happening in conjunction, it kind of narrows it down. And I'll be kind enough to you if you even get it within like a plus 2-3 years range. And I'm only doing like 20th century. So nothing like back in, I don't know, the dark ages or anything. So okay. Hopefully you should be able to get it. Okay. Let's start chronologically in this year. In January of this year, a military coup in Uganda happened under Idi Amin. In February, Nasdaq was debuted for the first time. Nasdaq came to be for the first time in February of this year. In October, United Nations voted to expel the Chinese nationalist-ruled Taiwan and admit the Communist People's Republic of China. Also, so these are just general world events. I'll give you something else from the world of pop culture. Stanley Kubrick's film A Clockwork Orange came out in this year. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin was first played this year in March. In sport, we have Joe Frazier ending Muhammad Ali's 31-fight winning streak at Madison Square Garden. So some very important events. I have skipped one event, and that will probably be the giveaway. But given the events so far, can you make a educated guess as to which year this happened and all of these things happened?
So you're giving me a buffer of plus or minus 2 to 3 years, right?
Yes.
I'm going to say 1972.
Ooh, that is brilliant because it is 1971. Well done, Vineet.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Nice. Okay.
Solid start to this question series that will hopefully continue in the future episodes. The one that I skipped, that I think you might have given it away entirely. Bangladesh declared independence from Pakistan.
Independence, yes. Okay, yeah.
So 1971, Bangladesh declares independence from Pakistan. You would have gotten that immediately. Well done, Vineet. Good job. Okay. All right. So your question next.
Okay. So my question to you is as follows. This was a monument that was supposed to be a temporary installation for the World Fair for 20 years, but it was ultimately never taken down. Since its construction, it's been repainted 18 times. When it was built, many eminent intellectuals of the day protested vehemently against it, calling it a gigantic black smokestack that would ruin the beauty of the city. Which monument am I talking about?
Gigantic black smokestack. That doesn't fit the bill for anything. Which World Fair did you say this was for?
I did not say. I just said it's a World Fair. If I give you the time and the time period, it'll be very easy for you. So I'm not going to tell you that.
Okay. So I believe this has happened a few times where things have been constructed for a World Fair and they have stuck around beyond. But right now I have no clue. Especially the gigantic black smokestack is throwing me off entirely. So I might ask for a hint. Give me maybe location. Which country are we talking about?
Oh, again, that's a giveaway. So I will have to say my clue would be as follows. That prior to its construction, many people did not believe it would be possible. They thought it would be impossible to construct.
That fits the bill for most famous iconic landmarks. No, I have no clue. You'll have to tell me something else.
Okay. So I'll give you the name of the designers of the monument, and this is again a giveaway. So the designers of this monument were Émile Nougier and Maurice Caclin.
Oh, isn't this... Wait.
Maurice Caclin is famously Kalki Caclin's forefather. She belongs to the Caclin family, hence the name Kalki Caclin, who's an Indian actress for those who don't know.
We have spoken about this, and I don't know why I feel like this is the Eiffel Tower, but then you didn't mention Eiffel, so I'm a bit confused.
Yes, so it is indeed the Eiffel Tower. The design of the Eiffel Tower is attributed to Maurice Caclin and Émile Nougier, two senior engineers working for the Compagnie d'Établissement Eiffel. Hence the name Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel comes from the name of the company. It was envisioned after a discussion about a suitable centerpiece for the proposed 1889 Exposition Universelle, a world fair to celebrate the centennial of the French Revolution. That came out more Mexican than French, but then chalo, we'll have to deal with my horrible accent today. The proposed tower had been a subject of controversy, drawing criticism from those who did not believe it was feasible and those who objected on artistic grounds. Prior to its construction, no structure had ever been constructed to a height of 300 meters or even 200 meters for that matter, and many people believed it would be impossible. A petition called Artists Against the Eiffel Tower was sent to the Minister of Works and Commissioner for Exposition, Adolphe Alphand, and it was published by Letton on 14th February 1887, and this is what the letter read. I'm just reading you short excerpts from it. We, writers, painters, sculptors, architects, and passionate devotees of the hitherto untouched beauty of Paris, protest with all our strength, with all our indignation, in the name of slighted French taste, against the erection of this useless and monstrous Eiffel Tower. To bring our arguments home, imagine for a moment a giddy, ridiculous tower dominating Paris like a gigantic black smokestack, crushing under its barbaric bulk Notre Dame, the Tour Saint-Jacques, the Louvre, the Dôme les Invalides, the Arc de Triomphe, and all of our humiliated monuments will disappear in this ghastly dream. And for 20 years we shall see stretching like a blot of ink the hateful shadow of the hateful column of bolted sheet metal. I just love that letter.
Very interesting, very interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so it was the Eiffel Tower. Bang on. Good job, buddy.
Thank you. All right. Okay. So moving from this to, I guess, the United States of America, I have a question for you, Vineet.
Okay.
There were 7 brothers from Cassara della Delizia in northern Italy, and their names were Giocondo, Frank, Rachel, Candido Joseph Gelindo Valeriano. Okay, something like that. Close enough approximations of what their actual pronunciations might be. These guys immigrated to the US in 1907. At least the first two brothers did, and the rest followed soon thereafter. The immigration staff misspelled their last name. How is their last name remembered today?
Okay. I'm tempted to say Corleone, but I'm not guessing that's the answer.
No, it isn't. It isn't.
Okay. Misspelled their last name, 7 brothers. I'm guessing this has something to do with business.
Yes, it does.
7 brothers. Tell me the names of the brothers again. At least torture the names once more.
I doubt that's going to help, but I'll do it anyways. Giocondo, Frank, Raquel, I don't know, Candido, Joseph, Gelindo, Valeriano.
Okay.
And let me help you a bit more. These guys started a company, and a lot of the family members immigrated to the US when the brothers won a contract to provide propellers to the US for World War I planes. Today, the name of the company is their last name, which was misspelled by the immigration officers back in 1907 in the USA.
I'm tempted to say Boeing.
No. No, so the company did provide propellers, but they no longer have anything to do with aviation.
Wait, propellers, is that part of their logo or something?
No, it isn't.
Okay. He said I was going to think of Lockheed or something like that, Lockheed Martin, but obviously that's not the case because you said that's no longer with aviation. No, I'll need another clue.
Okay. So, like I told you, this happened in the beginning of the 20th century. But halfway through this century, in 1948, these guys created something to treat a family member's rheumatoid arthritis. And that is much closer to the product that today they are famous for and are synonymous with, in fact.
So rheumatoid arthritis is an inflammation, is an autoimmune inflammation of the joints, starting off with the small joints and then emigrating to the bigger joints like the knee. So if they created something for that, is it some kind of liniment or something, some kind of ointment?
No, think something more for relief than even a treatment or a cure, like more of temporary relief, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, so liniments usually do provide that.
No, so today they won't be specifically or even generally used by the medical community, the products, but that's how it started.
Wow, I'm drawing a blank completely for rheumatoid arthritis. No, I'll need another clue.
So the last clue that I can give that will hopefully get you to the answer. If not, then I'll give you the last name that it originally was before it was misspelled, and that will probably give you the answer, definitely. So The clue that I'm going to give you was that this company's name is synonymous with the product that they make, to the point where people might not even realize that the word that they're using to refer to the product is actually the name of the brand and not the generic name for the product.
Oh, that's a case for a lot of products. Like Xerox.
So for example, Xerox, yes, exactly. Xerox is the example that comes to mind first. An Italian sounding name.
An Italian sounding name that's synonymous, and it was originally created to provide relief for rheumatoid arthritis. Wow. This is going to turn out to be something so obvious, and I'm having tunnel vision right now.
Okay, I'm going to give you one last clue which is related to the rheumatoid arthritis part. A full body hydrotherapy pump is what they came up with.
A full body hydrotherapy pump? There's nothing to do with water beds or anything, right?
Not water beds, no.
The full body hydrotherapy pump.
Alright, Vineet, I'm going to give you the name that they originally had before it was butchered by the immigration officials, and they should give it to you. The name was Jacuzzi.
Jacuzzi? Oh my god. Hydrotherapy. Yes, now it makes sense. Jacuzzi. Oh, nice. Yeah, it is. Now that you tell me, it does sound vaguely Italian. But Oh, nice. And I can see how it would at least seem like it would give some relief, especially if it was hot water for rheumatoid arthritis. Fantastic
Exactly.
question. Yeah, that one came out of left field and knocked me out completely.
Jacuzzi, obviously, when spelt with a capital I, looks very close to a capital J. So somewhere along the way, somebody messed up and that became Jacuzzi. So the Jacuzzi brothers started Jacuzzi, the company. Initially, they made propellers. Unfortunately, one of the brothers died in a plane crash and they exited the aviation industry and went into the water pump business. And eventually, the Jacuzzi, as we know it today, came to be.
Nice. It's like the company, the Swedish company Saab. They used to manufacture fighter planes before they started making cars. So nice. Okay, fantastic question. Yeah, I'm going to go to something slightly different, a little straightforward trivia. A bogey in golf is one over par, right? So in golf, you have for every hole, there are 18 holes in golf in a full golf game. And for each hole, there is a number of strokes that is considered like a benchmark, right? So that is par. So if and then the goal in golf is to get to the hole and sink the ball in the hole with the minimum number of strokes. So if it goes above the benchmark or the number par, then we call it as over par. And if the number of strokes is under that benchmark, then we call it as under par. Obviously, getting it under par is much better. So, a bogey is when you have one stroke over par. A birdie is one stroke under par. An eagle is 2 strokes under par. An albatross is 3 strokes under par. What name is used for 4 strokes under par?
So would I be correct in assuming that we are going with a bird or
yes, it is a bird
along
theme.
those lines?
A big bird theme, because as you know, an eagle, an albatross, they are all like big birds. So this is also a big bird, but not in yellow and does not live on Sesame Street.
Okay. 4 strokes under par. A big
what is
bird.
it called?
A vulture. Is it a vulture by any chance?
It is a vulture, but not a vulture. It is a type of vulture. A vulture is like a generic name.
Okay.
It's like
a vulture,
saying,
but not a vulture.
Yeah, it is a vulture, but it's not. The answer is also not a vulture. You see what I mean, right?
No, I don't. Like how you assume I see what you mean. I don't at all see what you mean. But okay, so some sort of a vulture-esque bird. Man, I'm not the right audience for this. I need...
Okay, my clue for you would be to think of a 1975 Sidney Pollack political thriller starring Robert Redford.
Yeah, definitely know what movie you're talking about.
Oh, this is a seminal, like a classic Robert Redford film. Peak Robert Redford, to use the current terminology.
Yeah, no, I'm not a Robert Redford fan, so unfortunately I can't think of his best movies off the top of my head. But let's come back to the question itself. I'll ask you, does the bird have anything to do with the number 4 or something? Am I...
Then I don't... No.
Okay. No idea. No, you'll have to...
Like, these are like really big birds. They have like huge wingspans. So anywhere between 2.7 to 3.2 meters, in fact.
Yeah, you are publicly exposing how little I know about birds. No, I have no clue whatsoever. You'll have to give me the answer.
Okay, I'll give you one last clue. Okay, so there are 2 specific species of this bird. It's an endangered type of bird, and there are 2 very specific species. One found in the Andes, and the second found in California.
Oh, California. Oh boy, is it a condor? Condor?
Yes, Yes. It is the condor. So the condor is the name for two species of New World vultures. There are the species of the Andean vulture, as to the Andean condor, and the California condor. It is only second to the wandering albatross in wingspan. As I mentioned, huge wingspan, up to 3.2 meters, in fact. And its name is derived from the Quechua language, which is an indigenous tribe's language in Peru. It's called Kuntur in their language, and that's where we get the name condor. And they are the largest flying land birds in the Western Hemisphere, and that is why, and that is the name given to 4 strokes under par in golf. Keeping with the avian theme, you have birdie, eagle, albatross, and then condor. And the clue I had given you with regards to Robert Redford is the movie 3 Days of the Condor. A fantastic political thriller, 70s political thriller.
Sounds vaguely familiar, but no. Wouldn't have cracked that with that clue.
The thing is, it's like the hook of the movie itself is really great. Robert Redford plays the CIA guy who goes to lunch, comes back, discovers that all his co-workers have been murdered. And then he goes on the run and tries to avoid his own murder and to find out why somebody's out to kill him.
Oh, interesting.
A fun fact, the movie is called 3 Days of the Condor, but the book on which it was based was called 6 Days of the Condor. I really don't know why they changed the title from 6 days to 3 days, but it's just fantastic. I think maybe it has to do... I have not read the book. So maybe it's got to do with the time frame of the, the action in the book and the movie. But yeah,
they thought there was a potential for a sequel. The first 3 days in the first film, the next 3 days in the next film.
Okay. Take the baton, Aditya.
Vineet, this question is specifically for you. I have a feeling you'll crack it immediately. Though I should not say that and then embarrass you unnecessarily.
I'm going to hedge my bets and say no.
No, I believe in you. I trust you. Okay. Henry was born in 1827. He studied medicine and in 1853 was appointed lecturer on anatomy at St. George's Hospital Medical School in London. In 1855, he approached his colleague, also called Henry by the way, with an idea. This particular idea has been immortalized in pop culture today.
Okay.
What idea did Henry come up with and shared with his colleague Henry as well?
No clue. Henry. Oh, wow. 1855, doctor. Lot of things kind of crystallized during that period, especially in medicine. But you said it's something that's like common in pop culture today.
Pop culture, yes.
Wow. Oh.
Let's be more specific. A very famous TV show.
Very famous TV show?
Mm-hmm.
Very famous TV show. Henry, and you said Henry, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you had said Joseph Bell, I would have thought of Sherlock Holmes. Because Joseph Bell was the inspiration for Sherlock Holmes. He was also a doctor in Scotland.
But also, Sherlock Holmes my first go-to would not be a TV show. So
yeah, obviously, yeah.
This is specifically a TV show that is immortalized outside of the field of medicine. So it is popular in the field of medicine, but outside of the field of medicine, in pop culture, specifically a TV show. Oh God,
I know this. This is Henry Grey, Grey's Anatomy.
Hey, there we go. I knew you. I trust you, Vineet. I knew you'll crack this very easily.
Yeah.
You are right. So, here's the trivia that Vineet has so brilliantly deducted. Grey's Anatomy is the name of a very famous book of human anatomy first written by Henry Grey and illustrated by Henry Van Dyke Carter and published in London in 1858. It has obviously since then had multiple revised editions, and the current edition, the 42nd one, came out in October 2020. It remains a standard reference and is often considered the doctor's Bible. So Vineet, firstly, do you have Grey's Anatomy with you?
Yes, so I have 2 copies of Grey's Anatomy. One is an older edition which I had bought in 2004 when I was in medical school, And there was actually an older version which I had bought when I was in school because I always wanted to be a doctor. And there was this floating library ship called the Doulos, which used to go all around the world and offer books, international books to, play. So when it had docks, yes. So when the ship docked at the port of in Bahrain, I had visited with my family, and there was a facsimile copy of the original version of Grey's Anatomy with the original illustrations. So the current editions of Grey's Anatomy have newer computer generated and colored illustrations. The original black and white hand-drawn illustrations of Henry Van Dyke, I have a copy of that as well. So I do have 2 copies of Grey's Anatomy at home.
Wow, okay. Well, so obviously that's a medical connection. And this, by the way, Henry Gray, the name is spelled Gray. And fans of the TV show, which goes by the same name, would know that that is Grey. And obviously it's a play on the name of the book, Grey's Anatomy, which also happens to be the last name of the lead character in this show. And that is Meredith Grey. Of course, Meredith Grey spells it to the Grey. Vineet, do you know, this is very, very technical, but just to tickle your medical fancy, since you are a medicine man, do you know what the 3 most recent editions differed from than all the previous editions in one specific way, in one important aspect?
I haven't seen any of the recent editions because I haven't, frankly, had to use Grey's Anatomy since my early days of medical school, and that was a good 20 years ago. So... No, I wouldn't be able to tell you what's really special about it. Maybe it's because a lot of textbooks have become like hybrid digital, where a lot of the content is hosted online with 3D pictures and things like that.
So they have done that in recent editions, but no, I was talking about a specific choice that they made in the way they present the information. And this has nothing to do with digital or so on and so forth, but how it is grouped together.
Oh, no, nothing springs to mind.
Okay, that's all right. I'll give you the answer. The 3 most recent editions differ from all previous editions in an important aspect. They present anatomical structures by their regional anatomy instead of describing all of the parts of, say, a certain, what do we call it, system of the body together. So all parts of the skeletal system, all parts of the circulatory system, all part of the nervous system would be described together in the book. But in the last 3 versions, what they've done is they have decided to describe it by regional anatomy. So they might be describing the head specifically, or the torso, or the arms, the legs, or whatever, and so on and so forth. And they'll describe all of the parts in that part of the body, which I thought was a very small but interesting change that they took so long to change, and they thought about it for, I guess, decades before they decided to make that little switch.
And then I can proudly say that us Indians got there first, because the 3-part textbook, B.D. Chaurasia's Introduction to Anatomy, which is you'll find on the desk of every Indian medical student, has always been divided in by regional anatomy. So you have upper limb and torso, thorax, then you have the abdomen, lower limbs, and then head and neck. So they've been doing it. They just came in late and decided to copy what we did. Or at least what Chaurasia did. All right.
Henry Gray, please catch up.
He's dead. Okay. Worm food now.
We need a Chaurasia's Anatomy TV show, I guess.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. If they ever remake Grey's Anatomy on Sony Live, they can call it Chaurasia's Anatomy.
Oh, I would so watch that.
Yeah, and one episode of Grey's Anatomy would be equivalent to 5 weekly episodes. Because after all the zoom-ins and the background music and slow motion, you would be able to get maybe 5 minutes of content stretched into an entire episode.
That's true. That is true. Okay. Vineet, your question.
European sailors restocking on live fowl for sea journeys used to visit a certain seaport in Western Java in Indonesia. They found these small native breeds of chicken in this region to be useful, and any such small poultry came to be known by the name of the seaport. Today, the name of the seaport is quite often heard in boxing and in molecular biology. So I want you to tell me what the name of this seaport in Java is.
Interesting. Molecular biology, boxing, and you said it had something to do with the animals?
Yeah, so the poultry. So European
Poultry.
sailors, they used to go on these long journeys, obviously. It was the age of exploration. So they used to go to certain seaports to restock their provisions. So one of the places they used to visit was this seaport in Java. And there were these really small chickens. It was a native breed of chickens, the poultry, that was there in that particular region, which they found to be quite tasty and a good thing to restock with. Soon, they started calling this poultry by the name of the seaport.
Is that name still used?
Yes, but nobody kind of uses it. I mean, like, it's not something you would have heard in the context of the chicken itself. You would have heard the name on the context of boxing. And if you were somebody like me, you might have heard it in molecular biology. So I would suggest you focus on boxing.
Is it a technical term in boxing?
Semi-technical. I mean, like, it's an absolute thing that's there. It's part of the definitions of boxing and things like that. Like, if you look at the glossary of boxing terms, you'll definitely find it.
Okay. So, wow, no, I have no clue. Is it like a type of punch or a jab or something like that?
No. Not to do with the actual boxing match itself. Think pre-match or matchups.
Oh, is it like the weight categories?
Which one?
So there is bubble weight, there is featherweight. I'm thinking of the more unusual names.
Lightweight, heavyweight, super heavyweight. Yeah. So you are in the right region, but you have to tell me which one specifically, at least in your memory, sounds like a Javan seaport.
Interesting. I can't think of anything which sounds like a seaport. They all make sense in terms of like weight, like featherweight and lightweight and heavyweight.
So the way I found this trivia was I was a little puzzled about the origin of this particular weight class. So then I had to kind of, do a reverse search and find the origin.
Interesting. Okay.
I'll tell you the weight class itself, so maybe that'll help. So for boxing, this range is 115 to 118 pounds. Or that will be 52.2 to 53.5 kg.
You know what? I think I've heard of this. Now that you're putting it in the context of a Javan port and Indonesian port, it feels very vaguely familiar. But no, I'm drawing a blank though. It's like right there at the back of my head.
Okay, let me put it this way. This is one of the weight classes apart from the heavyweight weight classes that Manny Pacquiao has never boxed in. He's boxed in like 10 different weight classes or something. Now this is one in which he has never boxed in because this is quite a small weight class, as I mentioned, 52.2 kg to 53.5 kg.
No, you have to tell me. I get like it's there, but it's not coming to the front of the head. So please put me out of my misery. What is it?
Okay, so the answer is bantamweight. The weight class is called bantamweight, and the seaport is called Bantam.
Bantam chicken. I know this. Yes, of course.
Oh yes, you were in Singapore. You might have heard of Bantam chicken. Yeah.
I have heard of Bantam chicken. Now, that makes a lot of sense. It's used in molecular biology as well?
Yes, there is a type of microRNA which we call as a Bantam microRNA. As I mentioned, that's not going to be useful for you.
Yeah, come on. You really misled me with that one. That was absolutely zero use to me.
Okay, your turn.
.dd is the top level domain for which country?
.double D, you mean, is top level domain for which country?
Yeah. Vineet, sometimes I can't believe that you are 30 years and older.
See, I'm even, how do I put this? Eternally immature.
I might grow older, but I refuse to grow up.
True. DD. This is one of those questions people always put, as they put these questions as, okay, think of this letter, think of a country name starting with D, and take the last letter of that country and think of an animal. And then people always say Denmark and they always say kangaroo. So I'm just trying to remember which other countries are starting with D. I can think of the Dominican Republic. I can think of Denmark.
Okay. If you think of the English names, you won't get there.
Oh, okay. So then this is a regional name which has been transliterated into English. Okay. Clue, please.
The country no longer exists.
The country no longer exists?
Mm-hmm.
Is this something from Yugoslavia or something?
No.
Oh. So we're talking about internet domains, right?
Yes.
So let me see. Which countries broke up post 91, 92? You have Ethiopia, which broke up into Ethiopia and Eritrea. You had Yugoslavia, which broke up. But you told me it's none of the Yugoslavian countries. You had East Timor, but then that's E. Is it East Timor?
No.
Yeah, I said it's not DD, right? So then, which other countries have broken up or become non-existent in...
Broken up is not the right word for this context.
Okay, no, at least cease to exist.
Yeah.
So cease to exist. The 90s...
Okay, here's the last hint, and this should probably get you there. Countries cease to exist, yes, of course, when they break up, but they also cease to exist in another scenario, in another case.
When they are renamed. No, but they don't cease to exist.
And you are at the right time frame.
No, it has to be the mid to late 90s because we're talking about the origin of the internet, which was in the early 90s, CERN and whatnot.
Well, mid to late 90s is a bit late, so I would say early 90s.
But did we have like domains at that point of time?
Apparently.
Is this something to do with Rwanda or the Congo?
No. Remember that DD would be the language in itself that the country is referred to.
What languages the countries referred to? I'll need more clues.
Okay, early 90s. Country that
it's not a fucking
in its country in its own language would be referred to with the name that starts with D, and it did not break apart when it ceased to exist. Instead,
Your Deutschland.
Yes, it is East Germany. .dd was East Germany's top level domain.
Wait. Hold. Stop the presses. The Berlin Wall came down in 89, right?
Mm-hmm.
So reunification must have happened in 90 or 91.
That's right.
But didn't Tim Berners-Lee start the internet in 91?
Well, technically, the internet did exist before 91 also.
But they didn't have like domains, right? So this HTTPS something.com, that was Tim Berners-Lee, right? www. So the domain thing came after that, right?
Okay, so the first registered, and here's a technical term, the country code top level domain, CCTLD. The first registered CCTLD was .us, which was registered in 1985.
The fuck? Seriously?
Yeah. And later that year, we also had .uk, .il, and by 1986, we had au.de, .fi, .fr, .is, .jp, .kr, .nl, .se.
Okay, just out of curiosity, any idea when India got it? .in?
It was before the 90s as well. It was 1989.
Now that is mind-blowing. I don't think India had properly computers. At least, okay. I mean, like in research institutes and certain offices and all private institutions, yes. But wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This was a complete TIL.
Before most Indians would have probably even seen a computer, .in existed. Yeah.
Nice one. You really caught me with that one. Because I was thinking top level domains means it's after the postal internet. So I was racking my brain for 90s geographical and geopolitical trivia. I did not even think of the late 80s. Okay, nice one. My turn. Designed by Phil Tippett, X was inspired by the anatomy of several animal species. His body structure was based on annelid worms. His head was modeled after that of a snake. His skin was given moist amphibian qualities. X is portrayed by a 1-ton puppet that took 3 months and $500,000 to construct. While filming the movie, the puppet had to have its own makeup artist. The puppet required 3 puppeteers to operate, making it one of the largest ever used in a motion picture. One puppeteer operated the right arm and mouth and read the character's English dialogue, while another controlled the left arm, head, and tongue. Mike Edmonds, the shortest of the 3, was responsible for the movement of X's tail. Identify X.
You said English dialogue.
Yeah. This is obviously a puppet used in an English movie. That's a given.
Oh, okay.
It's a 1-ton puppet.
Yeah, because the size made me think, was it like some older version of like Godzilla? Because they used to have miniaturized versions of that.
Yeah, this is not a Toho film.
I know that the alien costume was donned by a person.
Yeah, but that was one person. This is like 3 people.
Yeah.
It was huge.
And 3 puppeteers, not people inside a costume. So, and 1 ton, that's heavy. So I'm trying to think of something that would be that heavy. You said snake, right? Its head was like a snake?
Modeled after that of a snake. It doesn't look exactly like a snake, but they took inspiration from a snake.
Is it? I don't know. I think I have the answer. Is it Jabba the Hutt?
Yes, it is Jabba the Hutt. From Star Wars. The surprising part was they took such a lot of effort to do this. But if you watch the current, like if you are somebody who's not watched the originals, and you're watching Star Wars for the first time in the late 90s or the 2000s or 2010s or the 2020s, you would not see this puppet. Because in the 1997 remastered versions, George Lucas replaced it with CGI.
Oh, no way. Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It was a big controversy at the time.
Lucas, come on. Han shot first, always.
Jabba the Hutt.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's it.
Interesting. I actually realized that I'm watching the remastered version, and that annoyed me, and I went and watched the original one. When I saw the end of the 6th film, the original trilogy's end, and Return
of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
The Force Ghosts. There's only one Force Ghost in that, the original one.
Exactly. Because it was Anakin's ghost. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. How did he put Anakin's ghost in the original film? Yeah. And of course, then
the
I
original
realized
had only Sir Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think when they remastered it, they added Anakin and Qui-Gon as well.
I thought Yoda they added. I'm forgetting. But okay.
They added Yoda or Qui-Gon, one of the two. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and then I was like, oh wait, this doesn't make any sense. And then I realized I'm watching the remastered version, and then I made the point to go watch the originals, and my life is better for it.
Yeah, the originals have a particular charm to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, I think it's time to wind up. There was the audience question that I had asked at the beginning of today's episode. So the question was as follows. Initially, wine was distilled as a preservation method and to make it easier for transport. It was thought it was also done to lessen tax, which was assessed by volume. The intent was to add the water removed by distillation back to it shortly before consumption. However, they discovered that after being stored in wooden casks, the resulting product of distillate was much improved over the original spirit, which was wine. In addition to removing water, the distillation process led to the formation and decomposition of numerous aromatic compounds, fundamentally altering the distillate composition from its source. Non-volatile substances such as pigments, sugars, and salts remained behind in the still. As a result, the distillate's taste was often quite unlike the source, wine. This is the origin story of X, which is a shortening of an archaic English word which was derived from the Dutch meaning burnt wine. So, what am I talking about? What is X?
I believe, if the audience hasn't cracked it yet, the answer is brandy.
Yes, it is. This is the origin of brandy. Brandy was nothing but distilled wine, made it more potent, and then stored in casks, and then became this completely different thing altogether.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Well cracked, Aditya. So, What is your pop culture recommendation for this week?
So, my pop culture recommendation, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, which was the inspiration for the question, where I listed down important events in history that have happened in the same year, and Vineet cracked that very easily, was inspired by this podcast called 1 Year. And their latest season covered 1 year 1990. And they have done multiple such seasons. And in each season, they pick an interesting and important year in history and all the interesting and important events that happened in that 1 year in different episodes of that season. So 1 Year is my podcast recommendation, my pop culture recommendation for this week.
Fantastic. I will give it a listen. I'll be putting it on my to-do list or to-hear list, especially when I'm doing my daily commute. So my pop culture recommendation is to do with a series of detective novels written by an author called Tony Parsons. It's based on all these novels have a common character, the lead character by the name of DC, that's Detective Constable Max Wolf. I found these very, very compelling and very well done, and it's quite a change from my usual fare where it's usually serial killers and FBI agents and DEA agents and ATF agents. We actually have the Metropolitan Police. So what's the added advantage is they don't carry guns. So this guy gets knocked around a lot. And he has the most adorable little daughter who's also a very endearing character in the series of books. So I would encourage all of you to go and read Tony Parsons' DC Max Wolf series of books. My second recommendation is a complete no-brain, just watch it to have fun. It's not serious comedy. I mean, like, I know that's an oxymoron, but it's not like comedy that's very highbrow or anything. It's just very silly. It's one of those things that'll just help you pass the time. And I really, really loved the name that they gave it. So it's a semi-investigation series. It's about a younger son who is a PI who's lost his license and is hired as an investigator by his mother for her law firm. And so this son and mother have to work together, and they are basically like milk and wine. Completely two different characters, and their conflicts are just a lot of fun. Again, as I mentioned, it's not going to be a classic. Maybe 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember it. But I still say that it's worth a watch. There are 2 seasons available. The name of the show is So Help Me Todd. Which I really love the name. Todd being the main character. I think it's available on Geo Cinema. Go catch it on Geo Cinema. And Tony Parsons series of books, it's available on Amazon. So go read that as well. So that's all the time we have for today's episode. Thank you for listening in. We hope you enjoyed the show and learned something new. If you liked what you heard, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform, wherever you're listening to us right now. It helps us reach a wider audience and allows more people to discover and enjoy the show. We'd love to hear from you, feedback, suggestions, and even trivia. If there's a question that you want asked on the show, you can send us an email at areyouquizzingme@gmail.com with the name of the quizmaster in the subject line. You can also reach us on Instagram at areyouquizzingme. We have a subreddit community where you can go and interact with the other people who listen to this podcast. That's at r/areyouquizzingme on Reddit. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more episodes with you in the future. Thanks again for tuning in and have a great day.
See you guys next week.